The first sign wasn't a lipstick on a collar or a hotel receipt. It was a name that didn't belong. It was Thursday afternoon when the package arrived. Nothing fancy, just a plain brown box sitting on our porch like any other delivery. My wife, Rachel, was still at work, and I had come home early from the office. The house was quiet. Peaceful, even. The kind of peace that knows it's about to get shattered. I bent down to grab it, expected the usual. Face cream. Yoga blocks. Maybe another overpriced crystal she'd pretend really changed the energy in the kitchen. But it wasn't addressed to her. It wasn't even addressed to a woman. No, the label read, to Mason B. Same address. Our address. But a name I didn't recognize. I stood there for a minute, just staring at it. It felt like the cardboard was staring back. It's funny how fast your brain gets to work when something's off. I didn't open it. Not right away. I placed it on the kitchen counter, beside the fruit bowl that hadn't held a real fruit since the Obama administration, and I just waited. Watched it like it might explain itself. Now, look, I'm not the paranoid type. I'm the guy who gives the benefit of the doubt until it slaps me in the face and steals my wallet. But something about this was wrong. Rachel had been off lately. More time at work. Less time talking. More time texting. Less time touching. She'd drift through the house like a guest with perfect manners, polite smiles, quick laughs, nothing beneath the surface. And there it was. My evidence. Or maybe my invitation. I waited until she got home. She walked in wearing that mint green coat I bought her last Christmas, the one she swore she loved but never wore until this month. Her eyes flicked to the box like she recognized it. Like a kid spotting a hidden birthday present too soon. I asked casually, "Hey, babe, you ordered something for someone named Mason?" She hesitated, just half a second. But it was enough. Enough to plant a flag in the middle of my chest that said, "Here lies a husband who's about to learn something irreversible." "Oh," she said lightly. "That must be a shipping error. I'll return it tomorrow." A shipping error. To the exact house. With her name nowhere on it. I nodded. Smiled like a man who still believed his house wasn't burning down behind him. She kissed my cheek and disappeared upstairs to change. I didn't follow. Instead, I opened the box. Inside, a sleek black shirt. Men's size medium. A bottle of cologne I'd never smelled before. And a small white card. I read it twice before I breathed again. "I can't wait for our night. R. Rachel." I didn't feel rage. Not yet. I felt something stranger. Something quieter. Like I just stepped into someone else's life. Later that night, I resealed the box. Wrote a return label. New sender, her husband. New destination, Mason B. No note this time. Just silence, wrapped in cardboard. But this wasn't the end. It wasn't even the beginning. Because the worst betrayals aren't loud. They whisper. They wait. They smile in your face while planning your extinction. And I was ready to listen now. You'd think I would have canceled dinner. I mean, after the whole box incident, most sane people would have stayed home and quietly spiraled into a YouTube rabbit hole titled, "Top 10 Signs Your Marriage is a Lie." But not me. No, I showed up in a crisp navy button-down and polished boots, the kind of outfit that says I still care, because I did. Not about the marriage. Not anymore. That ship was already halfway submerged. But I cared about the performance. The role I had to play now. Rachel had made the reservation weeks ago, she said. At the same place where we had our first anniversary dinner. Same corner table. Same candle. Same waiter who always pronounced bruschetta wrong and made it sound exotic. She was already seated when I arrived. Hair curled. Red lipstick. Wearing that smile that used to mean you're mine. Now it just looked like customer service. "Happy anniversary," she said, standing up to kiss me. Her eyes searched my face, trying to read something. Guilt, maybe. Or maybe just checking for signs that I'd opened the box. I smiled back. "Happy anniversary." We ordered wine. A good one. Her favorite. I toasted to years of memories, and she clinked my glass with the grace of a practiced liar. I asked how her day was. She said busy and shifted topics faster than a politician on live TV. I nodded along, letting her spin her web while I sat quietly, watching her from inside a bubble of detachment. It was like dining with a stranger who looked exactly like someone I used to love. But here's the thing about Rachel, she never forgets details. She's the kind of woman who plans birthday scavenger hunts and remembers your coworker's dog's name. So when she handed me my anniversary gift, I knew she hadn't forgotten this one either. A sleek black box. Silver ribbon. I opened it slowly. Inside, a watch. Nice one. Elegant. Understated. Expensive. She smiled, almost bashfully. I know you've had your eye on something like this. I stared at it for a long second, then slid it back into the box. Thanks, I said. That was it. Just that. Because I wasn't going to pretend I was touched. I wasn't touched. I was numb. And I had a gift for her too. I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out a small envelope. Her name on the front. Her real name, Rachel Bennett. She opened it. A card. Handwritten. Roses are red. You think I don't see. But your package to Mason? Came straight to me. Her smile died before it even finished blooming. What is this? She asked, trying to laugh but not finding the air. I sipped my wine. You tell me. She blinked. Once. Twice. And then she tried to lie. I don't know what you're talking about. I cut her off with a look. The kind that says I've already seen the cliff notes. Don't bother reading me the whole tragedy. Silence fell between us like a thick curtain. She didn't ask how I knew. She didn't deny it, either. She just picked up her wine glass and stared into it like the answer might be swirling in the Merlot. When the waiter brought our entrees, I said I wasn't hungry. I wasn't. I was starving for the truth. But not from her. From myself. Because in that moment, I realized something terrifying. I didn't even want her back. And that was the real betrayal. She didn't break my heart. She revealed it had already been broken for a long, long time. Morning sunlight hit different when you're holding a secret. It wasn't golden and warm anymore. It was surgical. Cold. Like it was cutting through everything that used to be soft. I sat at the kitchen table, coffee in hand, staring out the window like a man watching a life that didn't belong to him anymore. Rachel was upstairs, pretending to sleep. Or pretending not to cry. Hard to tell. She's always been good at quiet performances. I waited until I heard the shower turn on, her favorite trick when she wanted plausible deniability. Then I stood up, walked out the front door, and checked the mailbox. And there it was. A padded envelope. Thick, hand-addressed, to Mason B. Same guy. Same name. Same handwriting hers. She was still sending him things. After everything. After the box, after the dinner, after the card that made her go pale with guilt, she still mailed him something. She wasn't sorry. She was committed. That hit me harder than the card in the box ever could. Because a mistake is a crack in the wall. This was a second coat of pain after the collapse. I looked around. No one was outside. I opened the envelope. Inside, a silk tie. Navy with silver dots. Classy. Handsome. Definitely not for me. And a note. Short. Sweet. Disgusting. For tonight. Wear it loose. I want to take it off. The air disappeared from my lungs. My hands went still. Not from rage, no. This wasn't rage anymore. It was precision. I walked inside like I was carrying groceries. Calm. Even. Like I wasn't holding the last nail in the coffin. She was still in the shower. I went to my office, sat down, and did what I do best. I got methodical. I went full forensic on her life. Pulled her laptop. She never changed the password. Hubris. Classic. I checked her emails, her DMs, her calendar. There he was, Mason. She had him saved under a fake name in her phone. Erica W. Pilates. Cute. Real cute. Messages? Endless. Photos? Yep. Details? More than enough. Then I saw it. A hotel reservation. Tonight. Under his name. She'd made it using one of her backup emails. They were meeting. Again. While I sat here drinking stale coffee and pretending my life was still mine. So I made a decision. Not a loud one. Not a screaming, throwing things kind of decision. No. That's not my style. I returned the tie. Same envelope. Same address. But I added something new. A note. Typed. No handwriting. No fingerprints. Just words. She's married. She's lying to you too. Good luck tonight. Then I printed the hotel reservation. Circled the time. Slipped it in the envelope. And on the back of the tie, I safety pinned one final surprise. A photo. Of us. On our wedding day. Me in a navy suit. Her in white. Holding my hand like she meant it. I sealed the envelope and drove it straight to Mason's place. Found it on one of her old Uber receipts. She'd been there. More than once. No one was home. So I left it on the porch. Propped against the welcome mat like a ticking bomb dressed in silk. As I drove away, I didn't feel victorious. Not yet. But I felt ready. Because this was no longer about her betrayal. It was about what came next. When she walked into the kitchen that evening, she was glowing. Hair blown out. Lipstick fresh. New earrings. The kind she got on sale, but never wore unless she was dressing for someone who wasn't me. She barely glanced at me, just floated to the fridge like this was any other Thursday night. Humming. God, she was humming. I watched her from the kitchen table, where I sat with my laptop open and nothing on the screen. Just blank. Like the part of my soul that used to ache when she walked into her room. Big night? I asked casually. She paused, just enough to give herself away, then kept her back turned. Oh, just grabbing dinner with the girls, she said. The lie was so smooth, she should have bottled it. I nodded. Cool. You taking that package? She stiffened. Subtle. A half-second of panic disguised as curiosity. What package? The one that came this morning, I said, sipping coffee gone cold. It had your friend's name on it again. She turned around slowly. I didn't see anything. Really? I tilted my head, pretending to be surprised. That's strange. I left it right here on the counter. Her eyes darted to the marble like the box might reappear if she stared hard enough. I leaned forward, calm as still water. Weird thing is, it wasn't just a tie this time. Rachel blinked. That's when I saw it. The unraveling. Not panic. Not guilt. Control, slipping through her fingers like sand. What are you talking about? She asked, but her voice cracked right down the middle like a dropped plate. I stood, walked past her, opened the drawer by the fridge, the one she never checked, pulled out a letter. Folded, printed, clean. Handed it to her. What's this? Read it. She hesitated, then opened it. It read, Rachel, tonight, when you walk into that hotel room, I want you to remember something. You planned this betrayal like it was a vacation. You packed lies in your purse and wore deceit like perfume. But your little getaway? It's canceled. He knows. Not just about me, but about the others. The dinner with Ashley. The fake conference in Napa. The spa trip that never happened. I gave him all of it. So tonight, when you show up to meet your fantasy, you won't find flowers and champagne. You'll find silence. And you'll know who sent it. She finished reading. Said nothing. Her hands shook, but not violently. Not like someone afraid. Like someone who realized the chessboard had flipped. I took the paper back, slid it into the drawer like it was just another bill. And then I looked her in the eyes, the way I used to look at her when I believed her. When I loved her. You lied, I said. You planned it. Over and over. I didn't mean to, she started, but I cut her off. No, you did mean to. That's what makes this real. She sat down, hard, like the chair had yanked her in. Her eyes were glassy, but not a single tear fell. She knew crying wouldn't work here. I walked to the counter, picked up the second envelope, thicker, dropped it in front of her like a closing gavel. What's this? Everything, I said. Bank transfers. Messages. Hotel receipts. I even printed out the fake yoga schedule you used as your alibi. Silence. Then she whispered, Why are you doing this? I leaned in, my voice low, calm. Because I'm done watching you lie while I play husband. This? This is me ending the show. She stared down at the envelope. Like it might bite. But you haven't told anyone, right? She asked, almost hopeful. No, I said. Not yet. And then I walked away. But before I reached the hallway, I turned back. One more thing, I said. When Mason calls, if he calls, don't answer. He's not who you think he is anymore. Her mouth opened. But I was already gone. She waited until the house went quiet. Until the echo of my footsteps disappeared down the hall and the bedroom door clicked shut, not slammed, just shut. Rachel always thrived in silence. That's where she did her best work. Manipulation, denial, reinvention. She used to be a master sculptor of her own narrative, trimming details, reshaping truths, painting over cracks with that winning smile. But tonight, she looked like an artist staring at a ruined canvas. The envelope sat in front of her, heavy with facts she could no longer spin into something prettier. Her hands hovered over it, trembling, hesitant, then suddenly firm. Like she remembered who she thought she was. She opened her phone. There was only one name she wanted to see. And there it was. Mason B. Last active, 20 minutes ago. She bit her lip. Pressed call. It rang once. Twice. On the third ring, he picked up. Hello. His voice was calm. Too calm. Mason, she said, relief flooding in. Hey. I need to ask a few. Rachel. The way he said her name, it stopped her cold. There was no smile in it. No mischief. No familiarity. Just distance. Cold, practiced distance. She swallowed. I know something weird happened. Did you get something from Logan? A pause. Then, I got everything. She blinked. And you didn't tell me you were married. Her heart skipped. Mason, listen, I was going to. I just didn't know how to say it without. You weren't going to. You weren't ever going to, he said. You had chances. Dozens of them. I was scared, she whispered. No, he replied. You were comfortable. She blinked hard. Her throat tightened. He continued, calm and razor-sharp. You told me you lived alone. That your husband was your ex, that he'd moved out months ago. You wore that lie like jewelry. I didn't want to lose you. You never had me, he said. You had a version of me. A version who didn't know he was someone else's shadow. Tears formed now. Not loud ones. The kind that burn behind your eyes but don't fall. Pride holds them hostage. I thought we had something real, she managed. What we had, Mason said slowly, was a story. You wrote it. I played my part. Silence crackled through the phone line like static before a storm. Then he delivered the final cut. I don't sleep with other men's wives, Rachel. Click. He hung up. No screaming. No swearing. No big monologue. Just truth. And exit. She stared at the phone like it betrayed her. Like it was supposed to keep secrets the way I used to. Upstairs, I sat in the dark, listening. Not through a wall. Not through a device. Just listening. Because silence is loud when you've been lied to long enough. I didn't feel victorious. I felt finished. The final mask had fallen. And for the first time in months, I felt the weight of her off my chest. Rachel didn't sleep that night. She sat on the edge of the bed, our bed, staring at the mirror across from her like it might offer a version of herself she could still believe in. It didn't. Mirrors don't lie. They just wait for you to stop pretending. I stayed in the guest room. Not because I had to. Not because I couldn't sleep beside her. But because I finally realized something crucial. There's no peace in sleeping next to a hurricane that wears perfume. From the other side of the wall, I could hear her breathing. Shallow. Uneven. Like someone replaying every moment they thought they were in control and realizing they never were. At 3:17 a.m., the floor creaked. Light footsteps moved through the hallway. I didn't move. I knew exactly where she was going. Back to the mirror. When I finally got up that morning, I found her there sitting in silence, wearing the sweatshirt I gave her on our first trip to Colorado. The one she used to wear when she missed me. Now it looked like a disguise. Her eyes met mine in the reflection. Red-rimmed. But dry. She'd cried enough, probably. Or maybe the tears just stopped accepting her membership. She opened her mouth to speak. I raised a hand. Don't, I said. Calm. Not cruel. She blinked, startled by the gentleness. She was expecting venom. But I wasn't interested in vengeance. Not yet. She turned slowly. I messed up, she said. I gave a small, almost imperceptible shrug. You didn't mess up, Rachel. You invested. In another life. Another man. Multiple men, probably. You went all in. Her lips parted. No words came out. I walked over and stood behind her, both of us staring at the mirror now. You know what hurts? I said, my voice level. Not the affair. Not Mason. Not even the lies. She waited. It's that you weren't even curious if I'd noticed. You didn't care if I caught on. You just assumed I'd keep orbiting your world, even after you replaced the sun. Silence. She tried to reach for my hand. I stepped back. I already called a lawyer, I said. He'll be in touch. Logan. No, my voice dropped, steel hidden behind calm. This isn't a negotiation. It's not a breakup. It's an eviction. She stood up, panic creeping in now. I can explain. You don't need to explain anything, I said. You already did. With every message. Every fake dinner. Every lie that started with, I just need some space tonight. She folded. Sat back down. The mirror didn't flinch. It never does. I turned to leave, but paused at the door. Oh, by the way, I added, you may want to check your inbox. Her brow furrowed. Why? I smiled, not kind, not cruel. Just prepared. Let's just say Mason isn't the only one I sent a letter to. Then I walked out. Because sometimes revenge doesn't come in screaming matches or broken plates. Sometimes it's a quiet sentence, delivered with the finality of a locked door. Her inbox sat open on the screen, untouched. She stared at it like it was radioactive. The subject line read, Thought you should know. The sender? A name she recognized. Ashley D. Her best friend. Or rather, the person she used to call a best friend, before Mason came along and priorities got rewritten like fiction. She hesitated before clicking. Probably knew somewhere deep inside that her little secret life wasn't as airtight as she believed. But denial only works when no one else is reading the script. Click. The email was short, brutal, a scalpel of truth. Rachel, Mason told me everything. About the lies. About the husband you divorced a year ago. About the nights you claimed you were with me. He forwarded me your messages. Do you want to explain why you told him I helped cover for you? That I invited you to girls' night last Friday while you were actually at the Belvedere with him? You dragged me into your fiction without asking. I've lost respect, not just for you, but for the years I spent thinking you were someone I could trust. Logan reached out, told me his side. He didn't beg. He didn't insult. He just sent a copy of your reservation and a copy of your note to Mason. I don't know who you are anymore. Do not contact me. Ashley. Rachel sat back in the chair, hands frozen over the keyboard. There it was. The aftermath. Not just a crumbling marriage, but friendships, too. Reputations. Lifelines. All burned to ash under the spotlight of a truth she tried so hard to avoid. She closed the laptop slowly. Like maybe if she moved gently enough, it would all reset. But it didn't. Because people weren't playing along anymore. She had spent months building a fantasy in the shadows. Now it was playing on every screen in the house. 3 days later, an envelope showed up at her office. Not work email. Not a text. A physical letter. Hand-delivered. No return address. Just her name, printed in all caps. No handwriting to trace. No details to dispute. She opened it in the privacy of her office restroom. Inside was a list. Typed. Numbered. Chronological. Men you flirted with while married to Logan. Compiled by location, date, and timeline overlap. At the bottom was a single line. How do I know? Because I listened. And now, so will everyone else. She flipped the page over. There were names, places, comments. A reminder that secrets whispered in private still leave echoes. She checked the office door every 10 minutes that day. Her smiles were brittle. Her confidence, wrapping paper in the rain. The worst part? The letter wasn't from Logan. He had done something worse. He'd disappeared. 10 days later, another package arrived at the house. Same brown box. Same dimensions as the one that had started it all. She approached it cautiously, like a bomb that might tick. This time, it was addressed to Rachel Bennett. From Mason B. She opened it slowly, unsure if she was hoping for apology or insult. Inside was the tie, folded, untouched. On top of it, a wedding ring. Not Mason's. Logan's. There was no note. None needed. This wasn't a message. It was punctuation. The final period on a sentence that should have ended a long time ago. She clutched the ring in her palm and sank to the floor. Because even Rachel, queen of denial, duchess of distractions, understood what that meant. Not only was she no longer married, she was no longer mourned. 2 months passed. The house was quieter than it had ever been. No laughter, no conversation, just echoes where love used to live. Rachel still lived there, alone. She'd sent emails, left voicemails, even tried a letter or two. Logan never responded. Until one Tuesday morning, a final envelope arrived. No return address, just 2 items inside. A printed page from a realtor's website. A listing, charming 3BR townhouse, recently vacated, for sale. Her house, posted publicly. A handwritten note. The only thing he ever wrote in ink since the beginning. This house was never home after the lies. I'm selling the walls that heard your stories. I'm taking my silence somewhere new. That was it. Rachel stood in the foyer, letter in one hand, ring in the other. And for the first time, truly and finally, she understood what it meant to lose everything. Not in flames, not in screaming, but in silence. Because the loudest revenge is the one that leaves nothing left to echo.